Hello everyone! Welcome back again to my class. Ito na naman po yung gurong vlogger ng Kuwait. Guro sa umaga, YouTuber paggabi. Ayan. And today, our mailers will discuss to us about the nature of audience research and cite some examples. So as they will also elaborate to us the importance of audience research to media producers. So please check this out.
Hey Mailers, it's me, G1 Mailer Jocelyn Inopia.
G1 Mailer Carl.
G1 Mailer, May Francesca L. Medina.
Group 1 Mailer Jiro.
Group 1 Mailer Gabby.
Group 1 Mailer Paolo.
Group 1 Mailer Jess with a Z.
And welcome back once again to our vlog number 3. So, in this vlog, we will have 2 points of discussion. Number 1, differentiate the concepts of values, attitudes, and lifestyles. Number 2, discuss how the media perpetuates status quo through its representation of dominant values, attitudes, and lifestyles.
So now I'll be talking about values. So what is values? Values is a commonly held belief, views, and attitudes of what is important and what is right. So values are basic and fundamental beliefs that guide or motivate attitudes or actions. They help us to determine what is important to us. Values in a narrow sense is that which is good, desirable, or worthwhile. Values are the motive behind purposeful action. So basically it is like giving like the word. It is like value has to do with how much something is worth in it. Yeah.
So in this topic, I'm gonna be talking about the concept of attitude and making sense of media. So attitudes are the expression of a response to particular ideas, events, circumstances, or people. In cognitive psychology, attitude may be described as predisposition to react favorably or unfavorably to situation, events, or a person.
One of the vlog objectives is to differentiate the concepts of values, attitudes, and lifestyles. Now, to better understand and cover the objective of differentiating the 3 concepts, allow me to discuss the concept of lifestyles in connection to media and information literacy. So, from the word lifestyle itself, it is basically what it would then mean, its broader sense being the way or style of living. So, from the words life and style, as I mentioned earlier, these are the ways of living, and it then refers to how the behaviors are incorporated into one's life, thus the daily habits of an individual. Lifestyles denote the interests, opinions, hobbies, behaviors, and behavioral orientations of an individual, family, group, or even a community. So there are certain elements and such factors that causes the kind of lifestyle an individual has to become the way it is. Lifestyle is a combination of determining factors, which are the tangible elements and the intangible elements. So when we say tangible elements, these are the factors that relate specifically to the demographic variables, like the social class being determined by income and material possessions. Now, on the other hand, however, intangible elements are factors that then concern the physiological aspects of an individual, the preferences, outlooks, values, and attitudes a person or group is predisposed to. Now, places can also influence the kind of lifestyle a group would most likely possess, like how a rural environment has a different lifestyle compared to the urban or city areas. So basically, the nature of the location in which an individual resides affects the set of lifestyles available to that particular individual due to differences between various areas. Now, applying this to lifestyle in media, we know that media frames the viewers to the way the producers want them to be exposed to. Media exposes its viewers to lifestyles that may be different from what they know. These are those media sources that try to convince you and influence your own lifestyle interest to shift from what you have now to what you see in the media. Media shows and portrays a certain lifestyle that is better than your own lifestyle, and therefore, it influences the audience to imitate or strive to reach such standards, thinking that following those types of lifestyles would satisfy and make life perfect for them. So, one good example would be when you see magazines, wherein they contain large houses, luxury living of glamorous women, or classy men in expensive clothes and cars. That is then lifestyle media. So, taking that example, we see that in lifestyle media, it portrays a lifestyle, a certain type of lifestyle that is out of the range to most people. They define and promote such lifestyles like how the local television favored the rich and powerful classes. Mass advertising encourages people to support and buy products that will then promote this kind of lifestyle. So now that we're enlightened about the concept of lifestyle, when we look at it and based from what I also personally understood, I see that between the concept of values, attitudes, and lifestyle, they do not quite go far from each other, and at some point they also go hand in hand together, in that the values and attitudes are also being related, or they're being reflected as well to lifestyle. So as a conclusion as well, lifestyle is a style of living in which reflects values and attitudes of the person or group. Values, however, are the guiding principles which are prescriptive and guide for desirable behavior, while attitude are the expression of an individual's response, the tendency to react favorably or unfavorably. So that'll be all for my part. Once again, this is G1 Mailer Cheselyn Nopia, and on to the next G1 Mailer.
Hello everyone, I am Group 1 Mailer Jiro, and my topic for this vlog is about how media perpetuates the status quo through representation of dominant values. Now, we already know a brief context of what values are, their types, and value system. I will specifically be talking about the role that dominant values played by media are in the society, and how dominant values keep things the way they are in the society. Values in itself already plays a big role within our day-to-day lives. It allows us to morally stand with what is right and what is wrong. But there are so many factors that values play within a society, especially when the media represents these towards the society. First is to simply make a change within the society. Values being represented by media doesn't just simply mean a broadcasting of information. It involves a form of education and a sense of persuasion within the society as well, and properly informing a society. With how prominent the media is already within our society, representing forms of values brings stability and adequate literacy with morals within a society. Second, to move the society. Adequate literacy of values portrayed by the media toward a society can swing or catapult their behavior to the right direction when done correctly. The capabilities of media to inform and shed light toward a better society is ambitious but easily capable of doing so, hence the word to move. Third, to improve and reinforce the society. We know how capable the media is to fully represent dominant values and start a movement within the society positively. With the numerous forms of values, a society can become one with success if the media can fully use the dominant values to its fullest. This not only enlightens and improves the society, but reinforces them to show change within themselves and even interact with other societies to even develop a sense of literacy about value. To conclude, there are three ways of how dominant values, fully represented by media, can keep things the way they are in a society, and why each way can really benefit both the media and society. This is Mailer Jiro signing off.
Most of the time, we get our attitude from our parents, friends, cultures, or our environment. But with the power of media, your attitude could be influenced by media too. But how? Here's how. You see, it's very simple. Media has the power of changing people's way of thinking or how they look at the world. So let's say you're watching political affairs and you're a Donald Trump supporter. Because you like and admire Donald Trump, admiring him is affecting your attitude towards him and your beliefs. Here's another example. Picture this, an American beer dad wearing a white tank top and some jorts, watching the NFL. Now there's two ways this can go down. The first one is where he stands up full of joy, cheering because his favorite team won. And the second one is where he stands up mad, throwing his beer and chair at something, and probably commit domestic violence, all because his favorite team lost. that's how simple media can affect our attitude.
Hi. For today, my topic is on how does media perpetuate the status quo through its representation of dominant lifestyles. Lifestyles, as we know it, is essentially our way of living. It includes our interests, our hobbies, behavior, and our opinions of an individual, a family, a group, and even the community. As a media consumer, the media exposes us to these different representations of lifestyles. Lifestyles like the rich and the wealthy can be seen from television programs to movies and animations that we are often exposed to. Coming to watch these different forms of media, our perception of reality is changed and shaped once again. We come to envision ourselves as the characters portrayed in the programs we watch. We are then led to believe that the life favors this rich and classy lifestyle. This can either make us despise our own lifestyle in favor for this kind of lifestyle, the rich and classy lifestyle. But it can also inspire us to work hard and improve our lifestyle to be better. Mass advertising is another example on how media represents dominant lifestyles. For example, media advertisement that promote and patronizes products, for instance, a new phone, often associates itself with what society considers as the higher class. And this higher class is often considered as the group of people who leads a better lifestyle, the ideal lifestyle per se. An advertisement on a new car is also another example. With how the advertisements are framed and directed, we come to appreciate the subject, and it then encourages us to buy this product that is being advertised, because the media promises and promotes this product to better improve the lifestyle we have. Browsing through social media can already expose us to media texts that encourages different lifestyles. This can encourage us to lead healthy lifestyles and eating habits, and it also encourages us to prevent lifestyle diseases through the media's advocacy of exercising, dieting, and other wellness practices. These different lifestyles presented by the media dictates and plays a role or a part in our decision making on whatever lifestyle we may choose to lead for ourselves.
To sum it all up, we learned from Gabby, Josiah, and Jocelyn the different concepts of values and attitudes and lifestyle. And we learned from Jiro, Alo, and Carl how media perpetuates the status quo through the presentation of the different concepts. To generalize, the media is both vast and powerful. Its prominence is today world greatly affect our development of different values, attitudes, and lifestyle. This turn affects the worldwide and perception of reality due to the media influence.
Hi, this is Group 2 and you're watching Sarah Mel's channel. Ting ting tung tung. So today, I'm gonna be talking about values. Values are beliefs, views, and attitudes commonly held to distinguish what is right and what is important. Values can also serve as a guide for desirable behavior. We use values as guide principles to judge the worth of an idea or a practice, all while underpinning the criteria by which we identify what is good or bad, what is right or wrong, and what is considered acceptable. There are two values that I would like to be giving focus on, namely personal values and spiritual values. Personal values are the ones that guide us or drive our individual behaviors. For example, when you try to discover your own style, whether it be an art style or clothing style, you are exercising and exhibiting your value of authenticity, to be true to yourself, and curiosity, to discover and explore. Spiritual values, on the other hand, direct your actions and decisions with regards to a higher power. Examples of spiritual values are benevolence, charity, dignity, forbearance, hope, humility, peace, loving, sincerity, and many more. We also have value systems. Value systems are a coherent and harmoniously aligned set of values from where you get your sense of identity and integrity. Some values align to provide you with how it feels to be a good person given your particular circumstance. These values are diligence, industry, respect for others, empathy, and compassion.
Hi guys, my name is Osama and today my question is the concept of attitudes. In physiology, an attitude refers to a set of emotion, belief, and behaviors toward a particular object, person, things, or event. Attitudes are often the result of experience or upbringing, and they can have a powerful influence over behaviors. While attitudes are enduring, they can also change.
Type of lifestyle. Lifestyles change have been increasing slowly since the introduction of media. Media is a film, television show, magazine, and more recently, the internet are the main source of lifestyle influence around the world. Lifestyle changes include how people eat, dress, and communicate. Lifestyle trends have always been influenced by the wealthy and famous, whether they are spotted at leisure or in the paid advertisement. At the dawn of the media age, the newspaper, popular magazine like TV allowed the general public glimpse lifestyles that before were only available to imagination. After its creation, the internet became arguably the most powerful medium for spotting and influencing trends, not just by the celebrity but the average person. The computer era has changed the way people obtain their news, perspective, and communication. Magazines are still popular, but advertisers now often supply a web address where consumers can visit for more information than a print ad can provide. The average American household has two personal computers, making the internet easily accessible. The rise of user-generated content exemplified by the fact that anyone with the internet access can create a blog or an online journal, whether personal or commercial, which might detail someone's experience in a new restaurant, a purchase item of clothing or knick-knack, or a review to film. With the advent of Android phone and its relative ease of uploading photos to social media, sites such as Facebook, one can get an idea of how quickly an idea, pub review, or converted object can be achieved. Advertisers have always been privy to the strength of word of mouth and have tapped into social media including Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr to make their wares known. Douglas Lerner writes, radio, television, film, and other products of media culture provides material out of which we forge our very identities or sense of selfhood. Our notions of what it means to be male or female, our sense of class or ethnicity and race, of nationality, of sex, sexual, and of us and them.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to differentiate these three. So what are values? Values is a term often used in the discussion of human behavior, and they are the motive behind purposeful action. They are the ends to which we act and come in many forms. So there are two forms of values. First one will be the personal values. Personal values are personal beliefs about right and wrong and may or may not be considered as moral. Second one is the cultural values. Cultural values are values that are accepted in religion or societies and reflect what is important in each context. So examples of values are, and there's many more, as long as it's good or maybe bad action. So values are also essential to ethics. Ethics is concerned of human actions and the choice of those actions. Ethics basically determines whether your actions are good or bad. Next is attitudes. Attitudes in psychology. An attitude refers to a set of emotions, beliefs, and behaviors toward a particular object, person, thing, or event. They are often the result of experiencing or upbringing, and they can have a powerful and influential over behavior, while attitudes can be enduring and can be changed. It is also a positive, negative, or mixed evaluation of an object expressed to some level of intensity. It is an expression of a favorable and unfavorable evaluation of a person, place, thing, or event. And lastly is lifestyles, are basically the way in which a person lives. So it either could be healthy or not healthy. And that's it for my part. I hope you enjoy the rest. Bye!
Next, we are going to talk about how the media perpetuates the status quo through its representation of dominance in values. So when we say the status quo, it refers to a prevailing state of affairs in society. It is the resilient ideas that make discrimination, exclusion, and marginalization that are tolerated in our society today. So basically, the status institutions and the relationship that exists between institutions and social classes. So going back to the topic on how the media perpetuates the status quo through its representation of dominance in values. Media today reflect to support, perpetuate, and affirm the existing status quo. It represents values because we all possess values or point of view and exercise lifestyle, choices, and attitudes towards other people and situations. So, yeah.
Media has a kind of an image in the mind of an individual. This is because communication is presented in a way that the mass audience likes it. Media has the power of changing people's way of thinking or looking at the world. This means they change the attitude towards a person or issues. With the help of media, social institutions are kept alive. But how? An example is when a social issue, like an economic problem, the media addresses the people about this problem, and then attitudes from individuals start to develop. Some may react favorably and others may react unfavorably on how the media addressed this issue and what the issue is all about, which could then develop different opinions from people that could create debates with the use of media. With this, media is used so that the status quo is kept going through the different attitudes of the people. Media greatly affects the attitude of an individual. It could always be a positive or negative change depending on what is being addressed.
So now one very good example of how does media shows its status quo in lifestyle is simply through TV shows or reality TV shows. You know why? Because this is where we get to see how do the particular individuals in the show itself, how do they live and how do they spend their day-to-day life. This is more in particular for the higher privileged people because this is where we get to see more on how do they live their luxury life, how do they spend their day-to-day basis, and of course how do they interact within the family itself. So yeah.
Hello, we are Group 3 and we will be talking about making sense of media making frames of a story with me as James, including with Frank, Jan, Charles, Jasper, Patricia, and Eliza. And we'll be talking about this lesson throughout this video. See you there soon. So we have to take importance that news gives us important information about the world. So how does media production choose what to include and what to not include? There's a tool that media production, what they prefer to call as frames. And frames is one tool that media creators use to tell a story that they want. They can decide what angle to show the frame and decide what elements can stay or excluded from the frame to tell their story to the audience. And this will be further elaborate from my group members. So take it away, guys.
Hi guys, so for today our topic is all about how does media perpetuate the status quo through its representation of dominant values, attitudes, and lifestyles. So before we go into that, what is a status quo? In simpler terms, it generally means applying to maintaining or changing existing social structures and values. Now, for the question itself, this was actually similar to the question from the book itself. So, mainstream media and how it supports and perpetuates the status quo is the cause of reservation and resentments about the institution role in society. The rise of independent outfits doing equally independent endeavors has also been a reaction or resistance to the dominant role mainstream media institutions that play a role in our society. By using limited capital resources but capitalizing on the mileage provided by the social networks, independent producers of indie films. So basically, they're trying to highlight the events of famous and rich people instead of real-world issues just because they think that this is more relevant and worth listening to or reading. So the public criticism against the media ranges from its bias in the favor of mainstream ideas defined as the popular, acceptable, unchallenged, and favored by powerful institutions. This limited perspective circumscribes our understanding and appreciation of the world and makes us even blind to more expansive possibilities of being a media user and being a citizen, exercising and experiencing the spirit of democracy through responsible media news. That's all for today. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, welcome to our vlog. So today I'll be discussing about values and attitude. So first, what is values? So values are commonly held beliefs, views, and attitudes about what is important and what is right. Values can be prescriptive and serve as a guide for desirable behavior. Values are principles that we use to judge the worth of an idea or a practice. It also underpins the criteria by which we judge what is good or bad, what is right or wrong, and what is acceptable or not. There are also two types of values. First is the personal value, which are those that guide or drive our individual behavior. When you declare that you will spend an inordinate amount of time finishing your term paper, then you are exhibiting your value for diligence in industry. While for spiritual values, they direct your actions and decisions with regards to a higher power. While we move on to attitudes, these are the expressions of our response to particular ideas, events, circumstances, or people.
So now I'll be talking about the lifestyles influenced by media. So lifestyles are ways of living and denote the interests, hobbies, behavior, opinions of an individual, family, group, or even a community. Both tangible and intangible elements are combined together to render this kind of lifestyle that an individual is predisposed to live. Tangible elements could be the social class, largely determined by income and other material possessions, as well as the space inhabited, while intangible elements could come with the values the person or a group is predisposed to. An example of this would be how a fairly good amount of income will allow a person to live in a gated village where privacy, family leisure, and expensive hobbies are valued practices. If we combine this with the person's attitude, which is favoring leisure over work, then we would actually describe the type of lifestyle this person would live. This is because the place a person is in is most likely what influences them to what kind of lifestyle they would live. So, media exposes its viewers to lifestyles that may be different from what they know. Local television programming has always favored the lifestyle of the rich and powerful classes, engendering aspirations of a new lifestyle for its viewers. Mass advertising encourages people to patronize products that promote certain lifestyles. So, mass advertisements most commonly encourages us to patronize certain products that promote the kind of lifestyle they wouldn't want. An example of this would be an ad that promotes a fitness app where it discourages the bad habit of sitting down in your room and playing video games all day. So, social media today has privileged the sharing of information, which also includes those that can positively affect one's lifestyle. The reason behind this is that because it can affect one's lifestyle because of how people are using different social media platforms to encourage healthy lifestyles and eating habits. There are also websites which show the prevention of lifestyles where it would prevent diseases through the advocacy of exercise, dieting, and other wellness practices.
Hey guys, I'm Miller Patricia Quiroz, and today I will be talking about propaganda and persuasion. The term propaganda was first introduced in the national consciousness when a group of Ilustrados launched the propaganda movement in Europe in the year 1868. When the three Filipino priests, namely as Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, also known as the Gumbursa, were sentenced to death because of their alleged participation in the uprising of the Cavite Naval Yard. Feelings of anger were stoked. In Europe, a group led by Marcelo H. Del Pilar organized upper-class Filipinos to awaken the sleeping intellect of Spaniards to the needs of our country, and to create a closer, more equal association of the islands and the motherland. Now, these are some notable reforms during the Spanish rule appraised and led by the Ilustrados. And these are representation of the Philippines in the Cortes or Spanish Parliament, secularization of the clergy, legalization of Spanish and Filipino equality, creation of public school system independent of the friars, guarantee of basic freedoms of speech and association, and equal opportunity for Filipinos and Spanish to enter government services. Some people might use violence in order to resolve a problem, but our national heroes used power of the written and spoken word to be recognized and to fight for our freedom. One of them is Graciano Lopez Haina, who was an excellent orator. Another one is Marcelo H. Del Pilar, who put up Diaryong Tagalog and used it as a platform to speak about the abuses of the friars. Then we all know Dr. Jose Rizal, who wrote treatise, and he's also known for his two great novels, which is the No Le Tangere and the El Filibusterismo, which was largely responsible for stoking resistance to colonial authorities, ushering the Philippine Revolution in 1896. However, with the continuous rise of the internet, it transformed propaganda immensely, beyond those tasked with dispensing it have ever imagined. In fact, it is almost a truism that with the rise of social media, every citizen has given an access to further advance his or her opinions. Thus, this makes her a bit of a propagandist. Though essentially, propaganda is about communicating ideas designed to persuade people to think and behave in a desired way. You are attempting to influence how people think about matters and issues. And that would be my part. Thank you guys!
Hello everyone, my name is Charles, and now we're moving on in the traditional arena of propaganda. Terms associated with propaganda. Number 1 is spin, news management, and public relations. All these forms of syncopated actions and tactics with the aim of minimizing negative information and packaging in a positive light that can be a story, an advocacy, or even a public personality. Spin is often used with reference to manipulating informations. These people are called the spin doctors. And the public relations are usually very adept in handling crisis situations and generating to alter public perceptions. Based on Jowett and O'Donnell meaning of propaganda, propaganda is the deliberate, systematic attempt to shape perceptions, manipulate cognitions, and direct behavior that furthers the desire of the propagandist. This definition carries more weight since this one underscores the willful and strategized move to shape perceptions and even manipulate with the sole intentions of furthering the objective of the propagandist. And now persuasion by Dowell and Cable. They stated that it is a complex, continuing, interactive process in which a sender and receiver are linked by symbols, verbal and non-verbal, through which a persuader attempts to persuade the persuadee to adopt a change in a given attitude or behavior because the persuadee has had perceptions enlarged or changed. The meaning of persuasion here is a transactional quality. There is a relationship between the persuader and the one being persuaded. And lastly, persuasion happens because there is an imperative to be addressed, a need that has to be filled up. Persuasion can also be an interactive process. The two parties agree on a process and suggest a mutually agreed upon message that results from exchange of opinions. Thank you.
So hey guys, here's just a quick generalization of what we had said in our vlog today. So first is media and the status quo. So we all know and possess values or points of views and exercise lifestyle choices and attitudes towards other people and situations. So the existing status quo is a Latin term that means existing state of affairs. Then lastly, status quo, we refer to a prevailing state of affairs in society. Basically the social institutions and the relationships that exist between the institutions and social classes. Okay, so next is values and attitudes. So values are commonly held beliefs, views, and attitudes about what is important and what is right. Values can be prescriptive and serve as a guide for desirable behavior. So there are three types of values in this lesson, and that is personal values, spiritual values, and value systems. So personal values are those that guide or drive our individual behavior. Spiritual values direct your actions and decisions with regards to a higher power. And lastly, value systems are a harmoniously aligned set of values from where you derive your sense of identity and integrity. And then lastly, for attitudes, they are the expression of our response to a particular ideas, events, and circumstances or people. Okay, so lastly is lifestyles. So lifestyles are ways of living and denote the interests, hobbies, behaviors, opinions of an individual, family, or even a community. So they are both tangible and intangible elements that combine to render the kind of lifestyle that an individual is predisposed to lead. So spaces and places influences the kind of lifestyle of a group would mostly likely possess it. So that will be all for our vlog today. We hope that you understand something from watching this vlog. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
A warm welcome to the war game.
Nandito pala kayo. So, kami nga pala ang Group 4 at pag-uusapan namin ang making sense of media making.
We all know the variety of media and what we tend to witness every day from these different branches of media. Knowing that media in the making is a wide topic with an array of selections, it may make a person doubt the utter sense of the topic as a whole. Making media can simply just be you trying to persuade a person through a social media and calling it a form of media, when there is more to study about the topic than just that. This is where we will be able to elaborate to you about making sense of media making and its general idea.
We all possess values or points of views and exercise lifestyle choices and attitudes towards other people and situations. What we're really after are the values, attitudes, and point of view that media today reflect to support, perpetuate, and affirm the existing status quo. What do we say when we mean status quo? By definition, this is the Latin term that means the existing state of affairs. we refer to the prevailing state of affairs in society, which is the social institutions and the relationship that exist between the institutions and the social classes. Most state of affairs is always powerful relationships that are favored to a small segment of society which holds economic and political power. To be specific, it's the resilient ideas that make discrimination, exclusion, and marginalization that are tolerated in our society today. Mainstream media and how it supports and perpetuates the status quo is the cause of reservations and resentments about the institution's role in society. The rise of independent outfits doing equally independent endeavors has also been a reaction or resistance to the dominant role mainstream media institutions play a role in our society. By using limited capital resources but capitalizing on the millage provided by social networks, independent producers of indie films, for example, embarks on a creative journey to allow themselves to determine both content and form without having to reluctantly accept to the demands of big industries. Public criticism against the media ranges from its bias in favor of mainstream ideas defined as the popular, acceptable, unchallenged, and favored by powerful institutions. These limited perspectives circumscribe our understanding and appreciation of the world and makes us even blind to more expansive possibilities of being a media user, of being a citizen, exercising and experiencing the spirit of democracy through responsible media use.
Hey guys, so now I'm going to be talking about values and attitudes. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is values. So you might ask yourself, what are values? Values are commonly held beliefs, views, and attitudes about what is important and what is right. Values can be prescriptive and serve as a guide for desirable behavior. Moreover, values are principles that we use to judge the worth of an idea or a practice. It also underpins the criteria by which we judge what is good or bad, what is right or wrong, and what is acceptable or not. So basically, values are a set of principles, as I said, that we apply to ourselves whenever we make a decision, and as well as when we interact with others. I'm going to be talking about two specific types of values. One of them is personal values, and the other is spiritual values. So what are personal values? These guide or drive our individual behavior. An example of this being exhibited is when you declare that you will spend an inordinate amount of time finishing your paper, term paper, that is. Then you are exhibiting your value for diligence and industry. So personal values basically emphasizes more on our behavior towards our actions and our decisions in tasks and in, as I said, actions. And then on the other hand, spiritual values direct your actions and decisions with regards to a higher power. So in spiritual values, we basically involve our religion, whether we believe in God, Allah, or whatever God we may believe in. We apply that certain values of our religion in our decision making. And just to add, value systems are a coherent and harmoniously aligned set of values where you derive your sense of identity and integrity. And lastly, we're going to talk about attitudes. So these are the expressions of our response to particular ideas, events, circumstances, or people. In cognitive psychology, attitude may be described as a predisposition to react favorably or unfavorably to a situation, event, or a person. As I said before, attitudes, this is a kind of value again, but this is emphasizing more on how we deal with others, how we behave around them, and how we interact with them. So yeah, it's simple as that, pretty self-explanatory. That would be all for my topic. See you all soon.
So hi everyone, and today I'm going to talk about lifestyle. So when we say lifestyle, it talks about the typical way of living of an individual, group, or culture. It indicates their interests, hobbies, behaviors, and opinions. A lifestyle can classify it as intangible and tangible, and both can combine to render the kind of lifestyle an individual or group in kind. Those intangible elements are come with the values, preference, outlook, and attitudes individual or a group predisposed to, while tangible elements are related specifically to demographic variable. In example, individual demographic profile. Social media today has privilege of sharing of information which can positively affect one's lifestyle. Example is advertising in mass. Advertising encourages people to patronize product that promote certain lifestyle, denoting advertising or products designed to appeal to a consumer by association with a desirable lifestyle. So that's it for today, guys, and I hope that you've learned something about lifestyle. So thank you, guys. See you.
Hi guys, so I'm going to be talking about propaganda and persuasion. So the term propaganda was first introduced in the national consciousness when a group of ilustrados launched the propaganda movement in Europe in 1868, when the three Filipino priests who were Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora were sentenced to death because of alleged participation in the uprising in the Cavite Naval Yard. Feelings of anger were stoked. In Europe, a group led by Marcelo H. del Pilar organized upper-class Filipinos to awaken the sleeping intellect of the Spaniards to the needs of our country and to create a closer, more equal association of the islands and the motherland. So there were also notable reforms during the Spanish rule, appraised and led by the Ilustrados, which are representation of the Philippines in the courts or Spanish parliament, legalization of Spanish and Filipino equality, creation of a public school system independent of the friars, guarantee of basic freedoms of speech and association, and equal opportunity for Filipinos and Spanish to enter government service. Actually, most of them use the power of written and spoken words to advance their causes. Great examples are Lopez Haina, Marcelo H. del Pilar, and of course our one and only Dr. Jose Rizal, who is known as the national hero, who wrote treaties, and his two famous novels were largely responsible for stoking the resistance to colonial authorities, ushering the Philippine Revolution in 1896. Today, starting from the invention of the radio, to cinematographies, and then onto television, gave propaganda an even greater mileage. However, the rise of the internet transformed propaganda immensely, beyond those tasked with dispensing it have ever imagined. In fact, it is almost a truism that with the rise of social media, every citizen has been given access to advance his or her personal opinion, thus making him or her a bit of a propagandist. So over the years, we have had so many advances, we have had so many new innovations that includes propaganda and persuasion. This includes, like, for example, we started out by the writings, we started out from just newspapers, and in this modern time, it has turned into something like giving lessons, morals in movies, may it be in books, may it be in essays, and may it be even the simplest songs that you hear, may it be in a simple show that you watch on Netflix and such. So yeah guys, that's it.
Hey guys, so I'm going to discuss propaganda and persuasion. What does propaganda mean? Propaganda means to disseminate or to promote particular ideas. In Latin, it means to propagate or to sow. It has been used extensively in history to advance religion and even justify conquest. That's why the term lost its neutrality and has come to be associated with deceit, manipulation, and even lies. Essentially, propaganda is about communicating ideas designed to persuade people to think and to behave in a desired way. When you write your status update, when you express opinion about a social issue, or when you share, retweet, and circulate information, you're attempting to influence how people think about matters and issues. Traditional arena. Terms associated with propaganda: spin, news management, public relations, and all forms of syncopated and tactics with the aim of minimizing negative information and packaging in a positive light that can be a story, an advocacy, or even a public personality. Number 1, spin. Spin often used with reference to manipulating information. Example, spin doctors. Number 2, public relations. Usually very adept in handling crisis situations and generating to alter public perception. Number 3, persuasion. Persuasion happens because there is an imperative to be addressed and need that has to be filled up. It can also be an interactive process. The two parties agree on a process and suggest a mutually agreed upon message that results from exchange of opinions.
Hi there! So, I hope that you guys learned a lot about today's lesson, which is making sense of media making with the subtopics as media and status quo, values and attitudes, lifestyles, and the propaganda and persuasion. So I'm here as a guide to sum it up for all of you as a generalization. And so media and the status quo is basically like we all possess like point of views, right? And we exercise lifestyle choices and like yung attitudes towards other people tsaka situations. It also talks about the social institutions and also the relationship that exists between like the institutions and the social classes. Now to talk about the values and attitudes. So values is basically like held beliefs, and views tsaka attitudes about like what is more important and what is right. So values can be like a perspective and serve like as a guide for like a desirable behavior. And then personal values naman, those are the guide or drive our individual behavior. Spiritual values. So spiritual values like they direct your actions and decisions with regards to like a higher power. And then we have the value system. Then the value system basically is like the coherent, like aligned set of values where you drive your sense of identity and integrity. And lastly, we have the attitudes. So attitudes are the expressions basically of our responses to like a particular idea, event, or circumstances, or even people. And lastly, we have lifestyles. So what is lifestyles? Lifestyles are basically ways of living, and they denote the interests and hobbies and behavior, also the opinions of an individual, or kahit family pa yun, or group, or even a community. And lifestyle also means, it also talks about the spaces and places that influence the kind of lifestyle like a group would most likely possess. So I hope you enjoyed our vlog today, and I hope that you have learned a lot of knowledge from it. Thank you. See you again.
Making sense of media making. We all possess values or points of views. We exercise life choices and allow ourselves the opportunity to frame the story a certain way. In this sense, we have a lot of power in our hands. The power to share information, to spread it, and to manage what goes through to our consumers. This is what our vlog will be tackling about. Making sense of media making. Make sense? Let's get right into it.
So now I'll be talking about the different attitudes and values. So what are values? Values are commonly held beliefs, views, attitudes about what is important and what is right. Values can be prescriptive and serve as a guide for desirable behavior. They are principles that we use to judge the worth of an idea or a practice. There are two types of values, the personal values and the spiritual values. Personal values are that of those that guide or drive our individual behavior, while the spiritual values direct your actions and decisions with regards to a higher power. So next we have the attitudes. Attitudes are the expressions of our responses to particular ideas, events, circumstances, or people.
So now I'll be tackling in this vlog is the lifestyle. So lifestyles are ways of living. It is your own choice on how you should live your life. Also, lifestyle denotes the interest, hobbies, behavior of an individual, family, or even a community. Both tangible and intangible elements are combined to render the kind of lifestyle that you want or that you need. So tangible elements could be the social class. It is largely determined by your own income. And for intangible elements, it could come with the values and attitudes of a person or a group. Media also exposes its viewers with different kinds of lifestyles. Mass advertising also encourages people to patronize things that promotes a certain kind of a lifestyle. And lastly is the social media today. Sharing different information can also affect a person's lifestyle.
Continuing from the propaganda and persuasion, there comes the notable reforms during the Spanish colonial period or Spanish rule in the Philippines, appraised and led by the Ilustrados, which are the representation of the Philippines in the Cortes or Spanish Parliament, the legalization of Spanish and Filipino equality, creation of public school system independent of the friars, guarantee of basic freedom of speech and association, and equal opportunity for Filipinos and Spaniards to enter government services. Propaganda and persuasion became an instrument for the Ilustrados in order to encourage and awaken the Filipino people from their freedom and their own rights. Now these reforms, led by the propaganda and persuasion movement, paved way to the distribution of equality for the people, most especially for our fellow Filipinos, during the times of colonialism from the Spaniards in the country. That's all for my part. Thank you.
Most of them used the power of the written and spoken word to advance their causes. People like Mapasino, who was an excellent orator, Marcelo H. Del Pilar, who put up the newspaper Diaryong Tagalog, and used it as a platform to speak about abuses of the friars, and our national hero Jose Rizal, who wrote treatises, and his two most famous novels were largely responsible for stoking resistance to colonial authorities, ushering the Philippine Revolution in 1896. Today, however, starting from the invention of the radio, the means of disseminating propaganda have evolved into a more technological advanced channels. The advent of the moving mass image, first in cinemas and later on the television, gave propaganda an even greater mileage. However, with the rise of the internet, transformed the propaganda immensely, beyond those tasked with dispensing it have ever imagined. In fact, it is almost a truism that with the rise of social media, every citizen has been given access to advance his or her personal opinion, thus making him or her a bit of a propagandist.
Propaganda also means to disseminate or promote particular ideas. In Latin, it means to propagate or to sow. It has been used extensively in history to advance religion and even justify conquest. In 1622, the Vatican established the Sacred Congregatio de Propagandae Fide, or the Sacred Congregation for Propagating the Faith of the Roman Catholic Church. It was ostensibly an act that should circumvent the growth and spread of Protestantism. This is why the term lost its neutrality and has come to be associated with a deceit, manipulation, and even lies. Essentially, propaganda is about communicating ideas designed to persuade people to think and behave in a desired way. When you write your status update, or when you express your opinion about a social issue, or when you share, retweet, and circulate information, you are attempting to influence how people think about matters and issues.
So, media perpetuates the status quo through its representation of dominant values, attitudes, and lifestyles. So, basing it off the definition of status quo, the prevailing state of affairs in society is influenced by the dominant values, attitudes, and lifestyle of human beings. Basically, the division and categorization of social classes are determined and influenced by the given lifestyle and hierarchy of a person. The media's representation of status quo is determined through both the content and form being presented, which essentially endorses the idea of specific values that may then prevail as the then dominant value of a group of people. Following that, attitudes and lifestyles are presented towards audiences. Status quo is then spread towards various segments of society, which will then increase as these become the domineering roles that an individual will partake in. In terms of media, industries and companies play a major role in creating content to reform the audience's idea of the representation of status quo. The relationships presented on screen, the ideologies and social classes in movies and series, as well as existing social issues and relationships played on the news and media, all collaborate in basing the political and social conditions of the country.
Ayan mga students, you just heard the different opinions and thoughts of my students. And if you want to share also your opinions, please comment below. And please don't forget also to click the notification bell in order for you to be updated if I have new videos. And don't also forget to subscribe, because as I usually say, subscribe now, laugh, and learn later. Once again, ito pang inyong gurong vlogger ng Kuwait, Guro sa umaga, YouTuber paggabi, saying God bless you all and always keep safe. Bye-bye!